The first control statement that we're going to look at in Java is the if and else statement. This is one of the most basic statements that we can use in order to branch our code in some way or to execute some conditional logic. So I've got our printer class open here from our Hello World project, and we are going to modify this so that we can do something useful based on the state. If you remember, we had created our printer, and we even created a constructor so that we could create a new printer, set whether or not it's on or off, and set its model number in the constructor. And then we, of course, printed out the value of our printer. And if I run this right now, we can see that it prints out true because it's on, and then the model number. But let's try and do something more useful than that. Instead, let's make it so that this print statement will tell us the model number and then whether or not the printer is on. So right now, we can't really do that very well without some kind of a conditional statement. What we really want to do is we want to say if the printer is on, then print the model number and is on, so that we can say this model number is on. We don't have a way to do that without using a kind of statement that we're going to see now, which is the if statement. So let's go ahead and comment out these print line statements, and let's change this so that we're now going to make it so that if the printer is on, then we want to say the model number and then that the printer's on. So the way that we do that is we just use if, and then what goes in these parentheses has to evaluate to true or false. So it has to be Boolean. We could just put the word true here, and this would evaluate to true. We could put false there, it would evaluate to false. Or we can put any kind of statement that's going to result in a true or false there, or a variable that's a Boolean type. In this case, what we're going to check here is this is on variable. So we can check if is on, and then we can do something here. Now we can execute one statement after this check, the if condition is true, or we can use a block here and execute multiple statements, as many as we want. In this case, we're just going to need one statement, but I'm going to go ahead and use a block here. A lot of people like to use blocks and if statements because if you add more statements to them, you don't accidentally create a new statement on another line that doesn't get executed as part of this if. So in this case, let's check if the printer's on. Let's do system.out.println, and then we'll print the model number plus is on. So now we're going to check to see if the printer's on when this is called, and if it is, then we're actually going to print something out. And if it's not on, we're not actually going to print anything out at all. So let's go ahead and test this out and see how this works. So I'll go to our Hello World, and we'll run this. And you can see it's printed out the model number, which is my printer, is on. And if we created a printer that was not on, and then we ran this, you can see there's no output. It didn't print anything. So the basic syntax of an if statement is very simple. We just say if, we check our condition, and then we put what we want to do if the condition is met, either in a block following it or the very next statement. We could have also written this like this without the block statement, and that would have worked as well. Now, one thing that we might want to be able to do is to have another piece of code execute if the printer is not on, if this condition evaluates to false. And we can use an else statement to achieve that. So in this case, all we have to do is you already have to have an if statement. You can put your code to execute if the if statement is true in a block, if you want or not, and then you need to put an else statement, and you can put the code to execute in a block or not there as well. Now what will happen is if this condition evaluates to true, what is in the if statement, or the if block, will execute, and if it evaluates to false, what's in the else will execute. So we can take this same system out print line, and then in this case, let's print is off. And I just wanted to say something here about these strings here. Generally, you don't want to concatenate strings by using this plus symbol in Java. There's some better ways to do this. We'll probably cover this a little bit later on, but just so if you're looking at this and saying, oh, can't you format that string? If you know what I'm talking about when I talk about a string formatter, then go ahead and use a string formatter in Java. But if you don't, if you're just starting out, I just want to show you the if and else statement, and I want to keep things as simple as possible. So that's why I'm just using the plus, because I think the plus is a lot easier for people to understand when they're first learning a programming language. So now let's see what this code will do when the printer is off and when the printer's on. So I'll save this file. We'll go ahead and we'll run. And right now the printer is off, so we get my printer is off. And if we set this to true, then you should see that it's now saying that it's on. So that's it. That's the if and else statement, a simple way to branch your code.